Hey, it's Thursday, and we're all about it today. Rocking and rolling here on the IG Live Thursday edition. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's get the questions rolling. Let's get my contact up there in case anybody needs anything. David at dmeltzer.com. Nick, good to see you. Welcome, Colleen. Welcome, team, everyone. Jesus, my Savior, is in the house. I am Jake. Good to see you. And there we have a little pinned comment. If you want my books, guides, if you want the ebook, audiobook, or you want me to sign a book and send it to you, I'll pay for shipping and the book. David at dmeltzer.com. If you haven't joined my text community, it's 949-298-2905. Good morning, Christina. How are you? Rob Deerdick in the house again. Good to see you. I always think it's funny. I didn't know that was him. But if you're not following Rob Deerdick, if you don't watch Ridiculousness, if you haven't seen all that's going on, hello, team, everyone. Good to see you. Let's see here. Let's get it started. Advice for young entrepreneurs who are interested in writing their first book. What you want to do is start a repository of your lessons and the stories that are attached to it. That's the first step. If you're a young entrepreneur wanting to write a book, start a repository somewhere about for you, a young, your lessons and stories. And we'll get it there. All right, let's let Will on here. I saw my friend. Here we go. Oh, it's a different London, but it's at Will. There he is, Will. What's going on?
What's happening? Thanks for having me.
Thank you. He's a founder and CEO of the head designer of the Thai London, and you're just kicking it, just killing it, and you're doing it for the betterment of all. Give me a little bit of background how you got involved with Thai London.
100%. Vitae is Latin for life, so our whole
Oh,
match is to,
Vitae. I can't
yes,
even
yes.
pronounce it.
No stress, no stress. Latin is a dead language, so there's so many ways of saying things. But yeah, it's Latin for life, so our whole match is to be the watch brand changing lives. So in essence, with each watch we sell, we help support a child-free education across sub-Saharan Africa. And my journey of getting into it, I always say the business was birthed out of frustration. Frustration on two fronts. Firstly, working a job I wasn't particularly passionate about, and getting to a point where I was making loads of money, but money alone just wasn't giving me that kind of gratification. And always knowing I wanted to do something more creative. And then the second frustration is my dad is actually the first in my family line to learn to read and write. So he's from a village in Ghana in West Africa. And I just saw how education breaks cycles of poverty. And I wanted to do it for more people and for more children. So yeah, I just kind of Vito was birthed out of the amalgamations of my frustrations and my passions. And yeah, that's how it started.
I love it. One of the interesting things that you said is, education breaks that chain that
Mm.
has been for decades, centuries, generations. How did your dad get educated? What was the opportunity? Because I think it's important. There's so many people still today that are illiterate that aren't finding and seeking education.
Yeah.
And one of the most remarkable things in America to me is that, when we need it, we can find $1 billion like it's
Mm.
nothing. We
Mm.
found that when we need it, we can find $2.9 trillion with no problem
Mm.
in
Mm.
days. I'm not talking
Mm.
weeks, months, and years. I'm talking
Just like
about,
that.
and I am beyond myself to think that how have we not been finding billions of dollars for education in our country? Because that has a ripple effect. It has a
Mm.
ripple. When you're educating everyone, those people can ever educate other people as well. So I'm really curious how your dad broke the chain of illiteracy and ignorance
Mm.
by becoming educated.
Yeah. I don't know, from a young age, he's just had a desire for more. He's always been a bit of a visionary character. And he used to go to uncles and aunts that were maybe a little bit more wealthy or people in the local community. And he would ask them for the basics in order to go to school. So it's just through his like sheer determination and wanting more than the surroundings he kind of was faced by. And in my research, it's just been crazy to see that sub-Saharan Africa is the only region in the world where poverty has increased in the past 25 years. So everywhere else is actually decreased. And that coincides with the fact that it has the lowest amount of people in primary school education, the lowest percentage. So there's a direct correlation between, yeah, lack of education and then opportunities and outcomes.
And why did you decide on watches? Uh, you know, to make this happen. What was the tie-in there?
I've always loved watches. I've always been like super fascinated by them. Growing up, I used to collect all the Casios and G-Shocks, just whatever my money could afford. And then I graduated into the Michael Kors types of watches and the Fossil range of watches. And then it was time to upgrade to the big boy watches, to the Rolexes, etc. And then I think at that point was kind of a big turning point because I realized I felt like there was a gap in the market. I felt like there weren't enough very slick, elegant watches that could compare aesthetically to those premium watches, but at an affordable price point. So yeah, I saw the opportunity and I just wanted to run with it. And yeah, the rest is history.
You know, it's so funny. I love watches, and I grew up poor, not
Mm,
sub-Saharan Africa poor. You know, I do a lot of
mm,
work in Kenya, in the
mm,
Maasai, in the Bogani, building schools and water and education and healthcare. I have a
mm,
charity called Unstoppable, which I'm the chairman of, and
mm.
we served over a million meals during COVID alone, and still serving those meals to help.
It's
But
incredible.
I'm a watch guy, and I told my mom, 6 kids, single mom, and she always repeats this story. She goes, David thinks beyond what most people think. Most young kids are like, I want a Ferrari, I want a Rolex,
Yeah.
not me. You know, I told my mom when I was 7, I said, Mom, I want to be rich enough that I can wear fake watches and everyone thinks they're real.
You said that
That's
at 7 years old.
yeah, that's how
That is a
deep of a
genius
thinker.
mindset.
And there's one of them right there, straight from China. It's a great
Love it.
fake.
Love it. Love it.
I'm
Love
rich
it.
enough for everyone gets disappointed in me when I
Yeah.
tell them this is a fake. You know what else I do with my watches is I'll go to a really expensive charitable event, and the guy I had like a Ferrari Hublot fake, $200
Mm.
fake from China. And he'll say, oh my gosh, I've always dreamed of having that watch. I say, here, it's yours. Then he'll go around to all the people at the charity saying, oh my gosh, Dave Meltzer gave me a $250,000 watch. I said, now you give to the charity. Then the next morning I call the guy and I tell him, hey, I want to talk about that watch. He said, oh, you want it back? I go, no, it's fake. But he's already promoted me to all the
Oh,
richest people.
that's some genius marketing there.
That's the way this thing thinks, buddy.
I
So
love it. I love it.
now you've sold in over 30 countries. You've
Mhm.
transformed lives, providing 5,000 educational resources to underprivileged children with each of those purchases. Where do you think the most critical place to put those dollars are? Like, I believe, in America, it's laptops. Yeah, it might sound
Mm,
funny, but, especially with the pandemic, we learned, these kids, if they want to learn, they want to be things. There's a lot of kids like your dad. They just have a
mm.
desire that they must be what they can be.
Yeah,
But if they don't have a way to access the information, they're going to get involved in other things with that bright mind of theirs that probably are
for
going to end
sure.
up in the wrong place. Where do you sink your dollars in that educational resource bucket?
So for us, it's all about partnering with those on the ground who really know what the needs are. So we partner with two charities on the ground, one called Pen to Paper Ghana and one called House of Wells. And yeah, for us, like sitting down with them and understanding the true needs has really helped us to kind of mobilize and spend our money in the best way possible. So the two needs that we've sought to kind of be of help at the moment have been school uniform and solar lamps. So school uniform because in some regions in Southern Africa specifically, a school can be on a child's doorstep, but just due to poverty levels, they can't even afford the uniform to go to school. So for something as minute as that, they're missing out on an education. So we sought to be the solution there. The other way where a solution is in Ghana, in some of the rural villages and areas, there's no access to electricity. So by providing these solar lamps, these children don't have to burn harmful fuels or walk for hours just to be able to study in the evenings. So for us, it's just about, as you said, there's different barriers. Laptops for some may be a barrier. We want to remove as many barriers as possible. So as our business scales, as we're generating more and more revenue, we'll be looking to do things like building schools, building libraries, providing laptops. We just want to remove as many barriers as possible.
And you were also selected as Virgin Startup Ambassador. I know Richard Branson wears your watches. Many
Mm,
people in America wear your watches. I haven't been
mm.
able to find a fake, so I had to buy one of your watches for you.
I appreciate
And nor would I do that.
it.
Uh, but as a startup ambassador, what are some of the other critical business issues as we finish up? Because obviously, startups, entrepreneurs are the soul, the backbone of every society of growth and innovation. That
Mm,
curiosity and creativity that's necessary for you to come out of poverty. In all of the world to come out of poverty. What
mm.
do you do as a startup ambassador?
For me, it's just about passing on knowledge as much as I can. I want to see more and more people win. I didn't grow up in the best of circumstances, grew up in government housing in the UK. And you're always put in a box, you're always told what you can achieve. But I feel like in this day and age, with the internet, with social media, there are no limits. Like the limits that were there before, um, like the playing ground has been evened out. So I just want to pass on that information and knowledge to as many young people as possible, especially the hungry ones, especially the ones that are out there seeking knowledge for themselves. Because if I can just add to what they're already building towards, I can just give them the shortcuts to enable them to scale a lot faster. So yeah, I'm just super passionate about other people coming up, the little I know, being able to share with them and empower them.
Well, Will Adwasi, see, I can say that right.
Yeah,
Thai London at Thai London.
no
Thank you
doubt.
so much for being of service and of value to so many. You're changing lives that more importantly will change lives. You're elevating others to elevate others. You're planting seeds under trees that you'll never sit under. But we need
Mm.
more people like Will in the world. Where there's a will, there's a way, and there's also Vitae. Vitae. Thank
I
you so
love
much. I'm
that.
going out and I'm buying another Vitae watch for
No
those kids.
doubt. No
Everybody
doubt.
go out, go to at Vitae London, buy some of those watches. Not only will you get a great looking watch, a great watch, but you also are going to help educate the world. So thank you. You reach out anytime, okay, Will?
No doubt, David. Really appreciate you having me.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
All
Take
right.
care.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.
All right. Those are the entrepreneurs I love. They're philanthropreneurs. Philanthropreneurs. He's got it down. The great Adwasi himself, William Adwasi at Vitae London. And you can see how it's spelled there. Vitae London, London. Great risk games going. That's right, Sammy Myers. Good to see you. Great mission, Colleen. Colleen's coming to Africa with me this summer, or next summer, sorry. We're a little bit closed right now. Let's take a quick question. Appreciate everyone. If you want the 5 daily practices to get what you want in life, go ahead, email me, david@dmeltzer.com. If you want my book, ebook, audiobook, or want me to sign a book, ship it to you, david@dmeltzer.com. What do you mean when you say subtlety of success? Everyone wants the obvious success, but the success that I see, the spirit of excellence that is within, is subtle. There's these subtle details, the consistent, persistent pursuit that creates success. And it's subtle. It's not blatant, obtuse. It's this subtle difference of being able to have an unwinding routine, to follow the daily practices of knowing your what, your who, your how, your now, and your why. Those are the subtleties. Email me, david@dmeltzer.com, and I will share those with you, david@dmeltzer.com. My good friend, Taylor, you got to upgrade your IG. It's not allowing me to let you join. So, Jake, can you help Taylor upgrade the IG? It will not let him join until he does. So we need the latest version of Instagram. I'll answer some more questions while he does that. We're going to have Taylor Ivy on at Ellsworth and Ivy. 5-minute question real quick for me, but let's get them back on. Here we go. How is the best way to get out of your own head? Best way to get out of your own head is to identify what's creating the interference in your head, what's creating the ignorance and the doubt and the fear. And those are usually triggers of people, places, and things, triggers of needs of the ego, separate needs. inferiority, superiority, anxious, frustrating, angry thoughts, guilt, resentment, offense thoughts. All of those different things get you in your own way. Kawasaki, you now. Nice. I love it. David at dmeltzer.com. Let's keep the questions coming. Here we go. Can you collaborate with Rob in the near future? I already started to collaborate with Rob Deerdeck, and I want to thank him very much. He was so gracious with his time. He is the greatest student of the calendar that I've ever met. Created his own app to facilitate that as well. Congratulations. Bless me. Here we go. All right, let's get this going. What's the one thing you wish you had studied more in school? Psychology, for sure. I wish I would have, human nature never changes. You can study history or psychology. Study history because human nature never changes. Study psychology because human nature never changes. Christina, thank you so much. I appreciate you. What's your why in your life? My thoughts about my why are my why. So I know my what every day, take inventory of my what. I find my who I can help and who can help me. I know my how, finding productivity, accessibility, and gratitude, what I plan, don't have planned in my sleep. I know my now, qualifying by my what, my who, and my how, exactly what's most important to me, and then I apply my why. The thoughts about my why are my why. The why is indigenous, inherent within me. My why is to be of service and of value, to pursue my potential, and to live to my higher self by being of service to others. Apply your why. Your thoughts about your why are your why. Podcast advice. Tons of podcast advice. Reach out to me, David at dmeltzer.com. I have some great technical advice, software advice, guest advice, content advice. Basically, the advice I have is to find your frequency, strengthen that frequency, find your spectrum, and clarify your message through consistent, persistent podcasting, utilizing the right technologies, the right softwares. Email me if you're interested, David at dmeltzer.com. Happy to help you with that. Happy to send you my book, my ebook, my audio book. I will sign and send and ship a book to you. I'll pay for it all. David at dmeltzer.com. I've pinned it below. Taylor is back, I've heard. All right, that sounds good. And I bet you it will work now. Taylor is back. Shady's back. Back again. Hello.
Hi. Sorry about technical difficulties.
Oh, no problem at all. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, give me a little background on Ellsworth and Ivy, and I know you might have a question for me as well.
Yeah, so Ellsworth and Ivy, I own a few businesses actually, but Ellsworth and Ivy is a clothing company. I started it 9 years ago. Right now, we pivoted a few times, but right now, for the past like 6 years, we've been focusing on knitwear. So we kind of make kind of our slogan is wear what you care about. So we make sweaters that have names on them, like city names. That's kind of how it all started. So now I make names like Aspen, Montauk, New York. We do a pride sweater, kind of just places and potentially like, beliefs that you care about, we put on a sweater. I also have a custom program, so you can kind of put whatever you want on a sweater, which I launched or a little bit earlier this year. So great for like newborn gifts. You can write your newborn's name on it. So there's that. And then I also own some retail stores called the Skinny Dip. And those are focused on supporting emerging female designers. So we have a lot of designers in the store, but the main purpose is to support and showcase female emerging designers.
Oh, very
So,
cool. And you have a question for me?
yeah. This is actually something that I feel like my coworkers and I have been talking a lot about. Um, the new generation of, I guess Gen Z is like kind of like the newer generation. Like, how do you feel like they're changing marketing? Or how do you feel like we need to market to them best? I feel like, again, this is something that we're constantly talking about in my business, and I'm curious what you think about it.
Yeah, no. So it's for me, one of the aspects is understanding the size, scope, and scale of the audience is unfathomable. So it's more than just a new generation. It's all the generations being able to access you. See, when you used to start a store like Skinny Dip, you would only be available to people in the surrounding area or visitors of your area. We can't fathom going from, for example, 300,000 people having access to our store to 4.6 billion in a very short amount of time.
Right, right.
And so, regardless of the age of the person or the generation that we want to define them as, I think the critical business issue for someone like you that has such a ubiquitous solution that can be utilized in so many different manners in the life cycle that has a big spectrum, as I call it, a large mass reach. The bigger question is not to address Gen Z. The bigger question is how can we handle the size, scope, and scale of the audience? How best can we address our frequency, this unique frequency of empowering women designers, this unique frequency of being able to customize apparel in a specific life event that may be aligned with, more of a female demographic, whatever those spectrums are. What we want to do is to have a frequency that is tuned into and understand what our frequency is to the spectrum, but really, how do we get the most out of the vending machine? When we put something into that spectrum, we get the most out because there's an unfathomable reach that we now have. And we're so stuck in thinking that we need this exact person. And I have a new philosophy, and it's a three-pronged philosophy about business. Find an open mind, an open heart, and open hands. Everyone's related to so many different people that if you address through your frequency, hey, do you know anyone that would be interested in this? It doesn't matter who's seeing it. If you're addressing people by qualifying them for one specific thing, that open mind, finding the open heart and the open hands that give and receive, you'll exponentially grow your business by taking a different approach, a different perspective than all other businesses. 99% of the businesses are talking and having conversations about specific demographic audiences,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's generational or whether it's the wealth or the height or whatever it may be. It's a huge mistake because I'll give you an example, and this is where I learned it. Dr. Pimple Popper is my favorite person because she, uh, first of all, I hate pimples. And I hate I even worse than hating pimples, I hate watching them being popped.
Same.
But she stuck to her frequency and realize that there's such a huge audience, a size, scope, and scale of an audience, that I can take the most disgusting, dirty content, and specify it, strengthen the signal, my frequency of popping pimples, and promote it, and have more followers, engaged people in a community than the entire Pro Football Hall of Fame, which is the top echelons of the most popular sport in America. Which is, to me, when I'm doing the math, I do some marketing with the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I'm trying to figure out how I get these famous people to get people to follow them or to engage with them. And I'm looking at this Dr. Pimple Popper, and it doesn't make any mathematical sense to me until I realize it's all about strengthening your signal, knowing your spectrum, and clarifying your message for the open mind, the open heart, and the open hands. And no matter what you do, and you have a very strong signal with what you're doing with Skinny Dip and empowerment, you're going to kill it. So change your perspective, change the way you look at things. The things you look at will change, and your business will grow exponentially when you realize the size, scope, and scale of the opportunity you have. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, just a follow-up question to that. So are you saying, and I totally agree with you. I think it feels like now, I was listening to a podcast with a Tim Ferriss podcast the other day, and it seems like now a lot of businesses are they're essentially like trying to change themselves to in an attempt to kind of be something for everyone versus I'm trying to clarify what you're saying. Like to me that's just too difficult. You can't be something for everybody. You can't be a
Correct.
product for everyone. That's impossible.
Correct.
And you lose yourself completely along the way versus, Dr. Pimple Popper that just like she knows who she is. This is what she does. She doesn't attempt to be that. She just continues on that path. and I assume that's kind of what you're saying. Just, there's enough of an audience now. If you just kind of let it go out there, if you just stick to kind of true to who you are,
You need to be consistent with it, right? It's
exactly,
more
yeah.
about frequency and frequency of the frequency than it is about specification of an audience. So I'm gonna have to jump to the other people. They're waiting for me. I appreciate you. Reach out, email me, david@dmeltzer.com. I'd be happy to help you and your team. You guys have a great brand, a great product, and a great solution that can really grow. So thank you so much. I appreciate it, Taylor.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Take care. All right, check it out. Ellsworth and Ivy. Great stuff. And of course, Skinny Dip. We're going to grab Rick Snyder. I saw him here. We got a little bit backwards here, so I'll catch up. No problem. Let me find my friend Rick A. Snyder. We'll go live. Rick Snyder is the CEO of The Invisible Edge, the author of Decisive Intuition, and co-founder of Straight Talk Live podcast. There he is. How are you?
I'm great. How you doing, Dave?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for your patience.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me here. Just saw you yesterday, and we were talking about my podcast that's coming out in 30 minutes. We're going live with someone that I think you found very interesting around Grandmother Lene, who's a Native American elder, spiritual elder, and she only got on the internet as of a year ago. And this is her first podcast she's ever going live. And so we're really just excited to talk to her in about half an hour on sustainability and how to really, you talk a lot about frequency. I love that. And so what's the original frequency that we're often tuning out on around our ecosystems, our planet, and how can our businesses and all of our lifestyles really keep that into consideration in the different decisions we make? So really excited to go deeply with her on that topic.
Yeah, I wanted to have you come on because she intrigues me so much. I know you're going to go live with her on Straight Talk Live. Where can people watch this in 30 minutes at 9 a.m. Pacific time? Where can they watch this?
Yeah, go to straighttalk.live and you can sign up to be live on the Zoom call with us. Or if you want to check us out on Facebook or YouTube, we go live on those streams as well.
Very good. And where do you find, it's one thing to get the big name guests, right? And I'm blessed to have millionaires, billionaires, entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, and entertainers loading up the playbook, which is my podcast. But we had a conversation yesterday about, Grandmother Lanai and people like Mike Moosberger and other unknown content that is exceptional, that goes, podcasts aren't particularly viral. Straight Talk is not particularly viral in its nature. But when you get a unique person like a Grandma Lanai that can talk about sustainability in a different perspective, you can have viral content. Where do you find these great people and great stories for Straight Talk Live?
A great question. A lot of it is really leveraging our network. And so my co-host Af, who's in London, I'm in San Diego. Between the two of us, we just have a lot of interesting people we've met on the journey. And also asking our colleagues and friends, like, hey, who would you recommend being on our show? You've seen our frequency, you've checked it out. And so that's really the best ways to leverage our networks, I would say. And what we also look for is people doing incredible work who might be undiscovered. Like not just the big names, the celebrity, which also is interesting, but also the people that are, all of us started somewhere and all of us have that story. And so when you can find people, like we had a panel of youth activists who are really like the next Greta Thunbergs, who are like 16, 15 years old on our show. They're so articulate. Like I'm so comfortable with the next generation in the fact that we are in good hands with some of the leaders that we're inviting onto our show. So things like that are fantastic. One last thing I think you'll find interesting, we're going to be interviewing the first AI entity that I think has ever been interviewed on a podcast. We're actually going to be interviewing AI. So there's a company called...
Is it Sophia the robot?
It's called Sophis is the name of the company. And it's going to be a different kind of digital interface where they're going to be a subject matter expert in whatever subject our audience wants us to interview. But they're literally going to become an expert in that field. And then we'll interview them like we would anyone on our show.
That's so good. Yeah, I had Sophia the robot with Harvard Business School with SAP in the Innovation Lab before COVID hit. And she's an actual AI person. You got to figure out Sophia the robot and just the next level. Anyway, my friend, I just wanted you to jump on so people can check out Straight Talk Live. Once again, let them know where they can find you in about 28 minutes.
Thank you so much. Yeah, just go to straighttalk.live for the URL, and from there you can find Spotify, iTunes, and then go live on YouTube or Facebook. Thank you, David.
You got it. We'll see you soon, Rick. Thank you very much for coming up and visiting me yesterday, and I look
You're
forward to
welcome.
doing so much more with you. You're doing some great work, and say hi to App for me too.
And thank you. You're an inspiration as always. Appreciate you and your team.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay.
Great Rick Snyder. Check him out, Straight Talk Live. He'll be on at 9 a.m. Pacific time with extraordinary guests talking about sustainability and AI there for the next. All right, last guest coming up, Vlada Bortnik, and talking about Marco Polo app. I saw you here, Vlada. I know we're working on it. Let's see here. Catching up as we normally do, going live with Vlada Bortnik. Marco Polo app, the CEO and co-founder of MarcoPolo.me, Marco Polo thought leader on social media. Good morning. How are you?
Hi, so good to be here.
Thank
Can
you,
you hear me
Vlada.
okay?
Well, you guys are just killing it during quarantine. The year's most downloaded apps, 10 million downloads, 12 times increase. How did this all happen?
Well, Marco Polo is a video chat for your real relationships, for people in your life you actually want to talk to. And as we all know, going through a pandemic, I think we're holding on to the people that matter to us the most, a little bit tighter, a little bit closer, but virtually. And Marco Polo is the best way to do that. It really is the best way to stay in touch in a way that brings a lot of meaning to the relationship.
Yeah, there is a continuity with the UI that you have. I've used Marco Polo for the last few years. Greg Reed, one of my mentors, he got divorced and used it with his son, and turned me on to it and said it's the best way to interact with his child because he wasn't able to be it. So you're doing some great work, but figuring out a differential in that user interface, being able to take something as commonplace as video chat and be able to elevate its utility is not an easy task. What were some of the things that you saw from this popular communication application that is a differential to some of the other people out there that are trying to do the same thing?
Yeah, for me, I think the biggest differentiator is just how we go about designing the product in the first place. For us, we really started in mind of our family starting to use it and our kids being able to use it. So every design decision and even the business model is really all about how we can make something that's not just a utility, but something that's actually really good for you. So we think about, we don't have feed algorithms in our app. We don't have ads. We don't sell user data. And that's a very conscious decision that we're making. And I think that's the biggest differentiator between what we're offering and what so many other people are offering out there.
And why did you name it Marco Polo?
Well, if you think about Marco Polo, usually people get a big smile on their face. It makes them think about the good times they had as their kids. And of course, it's also about being an active communication app. This is not a place we're just going to scroll and and, give emojis. As you know, this is where you have real conversations. So if you say Marco, the expectation is that the person is going to say Polo back.
and they do. And, just real quick at the growth seems to be extraordinary. And why would you have such an increase in growth during the pandemic when there's so many other ways to communicate? It's not like Zoom where, the business aspect, was so apparent. I was just so intrigued by the extreme growth, with the downloads that you have and the increase that you have. I would have thought some of the more, notable types of functionality would have been enhanced. Not Marco Polo. Why do you think people grabbed onto Marco Polo so much?
Yeah, I think the reason why people really gravitated towards Marco Polo is not just that you can have this interaction that's so rich and meaningful, but it's also you can do it on your own terms. As you know, with one of the best parts about Marco Polo is you can start talking whenever you want. And the other person, if they're there, they can watch live if they're there. But if not, everything is recorded. And so you can end up having these back and forth conversations completely on your own time. And during pandemic or not, everybody's so busy. It's like a new medal of honor when somebody asks you, how are you doing? If you don't say you're busy, something is wrong. And in our busy days, it's nice to be able to find a way to have these recent interactions with people you care about, but totally on your own time. And video chat apps usually don't offer that, right? Like there's usually scheduling disaster is what happens. Can you talk at 9? What about 9:30? And then the kid comes in and interrupts your day, and it's a mess.
Yeah, no, I've time to me, I'm a time freak. And so the biggest thing that I learned, and I, utilized it for my family, was that aspect of it takes as much time to ask for a time than it does just to send my message. And then I have 4 children, and I'm very secure in the fact, when I'm sending those video messages to them, that they get the point, they understand what I'm talking about. And, as far as children go, they get to see me.
Yeah.
Which is a big difference, right? And I have 2 in college, and I think there's, I believe at least the continuity, a conscious continuum through that consistent communication that's available on demand, right? You're basically on demand dad right there.
Right.
The message they need to know. I know people can go to marcopolo.me. They can download it on all the different platforms.
That's right. Yeah.
iOS, Android, doesn't matter. And it's the Marco Polo app, Marco Polo app. Anywhere else or anything else you want to add before I let you go?
I think the most important thing that I'd want to add is that, technology is such a big part of our lives. We use these little devices. Like it's usually the first thing in the morning you reach for and the last thing you put away, even before like snuggling with your loved one next to you. So I think just really matters to think about like what goes into your technology. And in the same way as we're becoming mindful of the food we put into our body, I think it's really important to think about what's technology that we're putting into our body in that way as well. And so I think Marco Polo is just a great alternative to staying in touch with people you really care about in a way that's actually good for you.
Yeah, I always talk about people and ideas being nutrients, that we're feeding our body with people and ideas. I'll have to add technology now to my nutrients beyond the food, drink, etc., that we take in supplements. So I certainly am so impressed as always, Vlada. You're doing an incredible job at Marco Polo app, marcopolo.me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I've utilized Marco Polo, like I said, for years, and I'll continue to do so. Thanks for saving me so much time and
thank you so much.
Family together. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. There we have it for today. 4 extraordinary stories, entrepreneurs, lessons, and stories. Christina Madrigal, Rob Deerdeck, 2 all-stars on here today. David at dmeltzer.com. Get the 5 daily practices. Know your what, your who, your how, your now, and your why. Get my book for free. Ebook, audiobook. I'll sign a book, send it to you, pay for shipping and the book. Not a problem. David at dmeltzer.com. Everybody can always join my text community right below, 949-298-2905. But most importantly, everyone, it's Thursday. Tomorrow is training. How to deal with negativity training is tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific, as always. Over 20 years, over 50,000 people registered. How to deal with negativity training is tomorrow. Please join me on Clubhouse, on IG, on Facebook. Register, David at dmeltzer.com. Remember, everyone, be kind to your future self and do good deeds. We'll see you tomorrow at training.